Yeah, I know, me too. I can't wait for WrestleMania 36. Like, it's such a strange and different event. I have absolutely no idea what to expect. What's that? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have 16 matches. No event in wrestling history would have 16 matches. Does it actually have 16 matches? Does it actually have 16 matches? Who the hell did decide on 16 matches? But yes, that is true. Somehow WrestleMania 36 has 16 matches, which kind of backs up WWE's tagline of it's too big for one night. Only because you made it too big for one night, WWE. You do know that you are in charge of your own storylines. You could have had 3 matches should you so wish, but you can't help yourselves. But let's not worry about that. It is kind of technically the most important week in professional wrestling, even though life has come and whooped its ass. So before we get to the event itself, there's only one last thing to do, and that's predict the show. Good grief, this video could be about 52 minutes long, so I would sit down, get comfortable, get yourself a cup of coffee, let's do it. And we'll start off with a big one, because why the hell not? And that is what I believe to be the best built WrestleMania storyline in years, Edge versus Randy Orton in a last man standing match. And there are so many different ways that you could do this, because deep down in my heart and in my soul, you're like, well, you gotta let Edge win. This is his big comeback match. He's been waiting for this for 9 years, or whatever the hell it's been. You can't have that sneaky, snikey Viper come out on top. But imagine if you did. You could absolutely wreck my emotional compass if you found out a really smart way to do it, especially because it would mean they could have another match and you could build even stronger to the Rated R Superstars redemption. Unfortunately, you can't do that because we're living in a world right now which is just, I don't know, the opposite of peaches and cream, so apricots and crap. I regret saying that, I take it back, let's move on. And Edge has to win here, and he has to win convincingly. I need babyface victories, and when I finish WrestleMania 36, I need to feel like all is going to be alright in my life, because I'm trapped in my house and I can't do anything else. And also, given that you are going to have an empty arena or an empty performance center, and Edge and Randy Orton can just bombard their way through it, just come up with a really smart move that finishes the Viper off. And I don't mean like Mick Foley and The Rock, where we had whatever the hell that thing was, a forklift truck that chapped The Rock because he was going, oh, blah, blah, blah. That made no sense. Come up with something so vicious and just so demanding that it makes me go, oh my gosh, Edge, you are the coolest person in the history of the world. So I'm going with Edge, and I really, really hope, especially as it's all been pre-taped, that WWE came up with something surprising. And we've also got another match which I'm oddly invested in, and that is Otis versus Dolph Ziggler with some kind of Mandy Rose involvement. And I hate to say it, but I actually think that Otis is going to lose. And the main reason for that is because we haven't had this text message explained. I go on about this all the time on Ups and Downs, but the text message was pivotal to this story, because without knowing what happened there, Otis is just a guy that got dumped and now he's being a bit bitter about it. I understand that, but I don't have the same sympathy and empathy if it turns out, oh, that asshole Dolph Ziggler got Mandy Rose's phone, texted Otis saying, I'm going to be late, so you should be late too, because it means he ruined the potentially best relationship I've ever seen ever since I was on this planet. So I really think what you got to do is now you got to turn Mandy Rose heel. I know, it sucks to hear, but given that we haven't tied that loose end up, Mandy Rose just needs to punch Otis right in the balls. Once again, my heart will shatter into 1,000 pieces. That's kind of a cool dynamic. You know, Dolph Ziggler with Mandy Rose as his manager or partner or whatever the hell you want to call it. And also, it's going to make me care more about Otis. And I think that's what I need going forward. So there's my prediction. Dolph Ziggler wins after Mandy Rose just punches Otis right in his testicles. I'm a mean man. I'm a mean person. Just going with what I think is true. We're also going to get the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the Women's Tag Team Championship. And I'm actually very pleased about this, because I've been very worried about those Women's Tag Team Championships. They haven't been seen for 62,424 years. I've been out there putting flyers up and getting their pictures put on milk cartons, but as it turns out, they're all safe and they're all sound. And I think given the lack of focus, WWE will actually change them here and give it to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. But I think that's doing a disservice to the woman, to the lady known as Asuka. Because if it wasn't for the Empress of Tomorrow, WWE would have been in a right pickle the last few weeks, and she deserves some kind of reward. So I'd like them to win, but unfortunately I don't think they're going to win. And I think this will be one of those matches that when all is said and done, we're not really talking about it that much. That's not their fault, but one, the Women's Tag Team Championships, as we've just established, don't really get much of a spotlight on them, and two, it's one match on a 16-match card. You do the maths. Something that should win over the geeks among us, like you and me, is Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship, because that's just a match I never thought I would see, especially a couple of years ago where Daniel Bryan was still on the injury shelf and I never thought I was going to see him back in a wrestling ring again. Now you've got two dudes that you know that can go, that you know are going to try and steal the show. That rhymes, somebody give me a prize. I'm really, really pumped about it. It's kind of difficult though, because I would actually give Daniel Bryan the Intercontinental Championship here because I just love him and I love everything that he does. But Sami Zayn's only held it for about 3 weeks, and it's the first title that Sami Zayn's ever had on the main roster, and it actually gave him something to do, as opposed to just walk around going, oh, I'm Sami Zayn, I've got a couple of friends, but we always lose. If he just loses here again, I've got to restart the Sami tally, which you'll know again if you watch Ups and Downs. So it puts me in quite a quandary. The issue is I like both guys. When you take heel and face and chuck it out the window, I think Sami Zayn is an underutilized wrestler in WWE, and while Daniel Bryan has smashed out the park time and time again, I always wanted to smash it out the park because again he's Daniel Bryan and he's one of the best ever. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and presume that Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro actually help Sami Zayn because of course in Daniel Bryan's corner he's only got Drew Gulak. So we'll have shenanigans here, maybe the referee doesn't see some outside interference or whatever. Sami Zayn will walk away with the IC title and it's a win-win for me. If Zayn holds on to it, great. If Daniel Bryan wins, great. This could be the best match over both nights in terms of me just enjoying it for a wrestling spectacle. We also have Elias versus King Corbin, which I'm very confused about because I saw Elias die on the last episode of SmackDown, or at least the last episode of SmackDown as I'm saying these words. So I presume on the SmackDown that will go live this weekend, Elias will just have come back to life and maybe he's now a zombie. Man's like, oh, I'm Elias, I'm coming to bet you. And Baron Corbin like, man, it's King versus zombie. This has got very weird. Elias wins. I don't know, you tell me. Interestingly, in another Stuff Just Happens match, we have Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I've already gone over the top with how many matches we have on this card, and it's going to be important to pace this show as well as you can. So I like you, Bobby Lashley, I do, and once again, you're a bit like Sami Zayn. WWE should do more with you, but in this scenario, given what we have, I think Aleister Black got to walk in the ring, I think he's got a black mass Bobby Lashley's head off and win within 5 to 10 seconds. I mean it. I think he should squash Bobby Lashley and then coming out the other side, when we can start doing proper WWE shows again, we push Aleister Black like he's a kid on a swing. What I mean by that is we push him hard and we push him a lot. So I'm going with it. Squash match, Aleister Black wins in quicker than 10 seconds. The Raw Tag Team Championships are also in the line in one of the strangest matches we're going to see because it is the title holders, the Street Profits, taking on Angel Garza and Austin Theory, two dudes that are only on the main roster because Andrade keeps getting injured. What is going on? Because of that though, and because we don't really know where Austin Theory and Angel Garza are actually going to end up long term, you don't take it off the Street Profits right now. And also I actually think the Street Profits were getting some momentum before we did have to tell the fans to disperse. So let's keep this simple. A nice fun 10-minute match. Street Profits win after Montez Ford does his crazy frog splash. And yeah, let's just make sure we highlight Austin Theory and Angel Garza as much as we can. Keep it easy. Okay, this one is really hard because I don't actually know what's going to happen. On paper, it's meant to be the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The Miz and John Morrison, taking on the Usos and taking on the New Day in a ladder match. But there's a lot of rumors out there in rumor land that say no, it's going to be a triple threat match, but only with one from each team, and maybe just John Morrison versus one of the Usos. So how am I meant to predict that when there is so much conflicting information? Well, I'll just predict every single scenario. Or what I mean by that is say The Miz and John Morrison will hold on to their championships. And no matter what this does, John Morrison will win, or The Miz will win, basically the Usos won't win, and the New Days also will not win. Also WWE. Can we do something with this tag team division? These three teams are amazing, but I don't need to see them fight all the time, especially the Usos and the New Day. I think I've seen them fight more than I've seen my own parents in the last year. That maybe speaks louder to my relationship with my mum and dad, but I'm not here to talk about my personal life. Just build up some more teams, build up your tag team division. I've gone off track. The Miz and John Morrison will still be your SmackDown Tag Team Champions when WrestleMania 36 is over. We then have another match that I'm very excited about, and it's Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. I think the build to this has been sublime, and I just want them to give me a pure wrestling match. I want to see the Kevin Owens I remember from the independent scene. I want to see the Seth Rollins that I know from my dreams, and I just want them to be allowed to do whatever the hell it is they want to do to have a flippin' superb fight. And I desperately want Kevin Owens to win too, because as you know, I'm a massive KO fan, and I think he should be the top babyface in the company But I don't think that's what WWE is going to do. We shall talk about Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre in just 1 second, but I believe Seth Rollins may be the bad guy to go after the Universal Championship when we're done with WrestleMania 36, and unfortunately, that means he has to win here. And how you go about that, I don't know, because from what I can gather, you're not going to see the AOP or Buddy Murphy because they weren't allowed in the Performance Center because of the situation going on in the world. I don't really want to see Kevin Owens lose clean. I'm being a massive hypocrite here because I hate how much dirty finishes WWE do, but that's how much I care about Mr. Owens. However, I do believe Seth Rollins will get a curb stomp out of nowhere, get the 1, 2, 3, and as I say, put himself in a position where he can call himself the #1 contender. I can get that, needs must. You know, you've got to have somebody go after the belt when we're done here, but it sucks that Kevin Owens has to be sacrificed. He's like a lamb. And then my word, I'm so pumped, I'm so excited. It's the Boneyard match. The Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles. It does sound like WWE filmed this away from the Performance Center, so it's probably going to be more like a Netflix movie than it is a wrestling match. I couldn't have more anticipation for this if I tried. Watch. This is my anticipation button is. It won't go anymore. It's just going bleep, 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 because it's at the top. The only thing that does suck about this is I totally believe and I truly think if you had done Styles versus The Undertaker in a proper ring in front of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 fans, AJ Styles could have pulled a performance out of the dead man. But rather than do that, we're going to a graveyard. But WrestleMania 36 needs this. Again, there's 2 matches to begin with. You're going to have no fans, so you are going to get more tired than usual. So you have to come up with some preposterous, some dumb stuff, and a Boneyard match is exactly that. But let's be honest with ourselves. Don't kid yourselves. Don't pretend otherwise. Ain't no way AJ is going to win in what is essentially a speciality match for The Undertaker. Also, he said way too many stuff about The Undertaker's wife. The Undertaker will win here, but AJ Styles doesn't really lose. So what's going to happen? Undertaker's going to hit him in the head with a bone, and then AJ falls into a grave, and Undertaker, puts some dirt over him. It's not losing a wrestling match. That's just the ending of a film, like I say. But I do believe this will be fun. Undertaker will win in some fashion, but we will win mostly because of the entertainment given to us by World Wrestling Entertainment. We're also getting Bayley versus Tamina versus Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans versus Naomi. Kind of feel like this is going to be lost in the shuffle, even though it is for the SmackDown's Women's Championship. What I would do is I would have Bayley win. I'd have her pin Tamina, because nobody's meaner than Tamina, even though you haven't seen her. And then again, when WrestleMania 36 is done, I'd finally light a fire under the Sasha Banks and Bayley feud. I don't know which one you turn face, and I don't know which one you keep heel, but I don't care. I've been wanting to see those two go at it properly on either Raw or SmackDown since they both came up. So just do it now, but Bayley will still be your champ. This is one of those feuds that unfortunately has got just a little bit lost in the shuffle. And it's the same for Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, which doubly sucks because I was so excited about seeing the NXT Championship defended on such a big show like WrestleMania. But let's keep this smart and let's keep it simple, like we should be doing for a lot of these other matches. Have Rhea Ripley not only hold on to that belt, but beat Charlotte. I mean, it doesn't matter if Charlotte loses. Charlotte doesn't need to be the NXT champion again. If you want to put her on the weekly Wednesday show, you can do that anyway. But what just a tick in the you should watch this person box for Rhea Ripley if she beats somebody with the history and the legacy of a Charlotte Flair. So just do it. Have her win clean. No nonsense. Don't piss me off. Thankfully, we do have one badass women's match on this card, and it is Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. And while all the Ronda Rousey stuff confused me, I would have just left her out of this. I think these two are going to whoop each other's ass. And I also think Shayna Baszler is going to win. That's right, somebody had to say it. It had to be said. And here's the reason why. If Becky has been so afraid of Shayna, just a little bit, you can see it in her eyes and you can hear it in her voice, but then she just takes her out like she did with Asuka. Where do you go with Shayna Baszler after that? You've just killed her dead and she's only been on the main roster for around about 5 minutes. But if you finally give Becky Lynch an arch nemesis, someone who she has to work from the bottom all the way back up to the top, it also makes Shayna Baszler the same kind of feared person she was down in NXT. So just do that. Have her choke out Becky Lynch and have Becky Lynch with this, shocked face at the end of it. She's like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. My identity was just ripped from my body. You got to do it. It tells such a more interesting story. It's a better narrative. And I will invest so much into this, especially for the promo that Shayna Baszler cuts on Raw the following night. Even if we are getting that Raw, who the hell knows what's going on? But you've got to do it, WWE. This is just cut and dry as far as I'm concerned. I love Becky Lynch, but it will help Becky Lynch as a babyface, and you will absolutely establish Shayna as an asshole heel. I'm gonna be watching. Following on from that, we have John Cena versus The Fiend, which is another match that apparently has been shot away from the Performance Center. So much like the Boneyard match, it's probably gonna be full of shenanigans and tomfoolery, but I do believe we need that. And once again, WWE, I'm just gonna give it to you straight. If you have John Cena beat The Fiend or Bray Wyatt for the second time, I ain't gonna take my arm, I'm gonna remove it from my body, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to lump you over the head until you can finally see sense. That is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. And I really respect John Cena. When I look back on his career now, I'm like, fuck, that guy absolutely smashed it. But now, it's all about The Fiend. We've got to rev The Fiend up as far as we can go. He's had a tumultuous 6 months, and now he needs to be pushed to the moon, and he can do that by beating John Cena, especially because John Cena's gone after WrestleMania 36. He's back to Hollywood land, whereas Bray Wyatt will be on SmackDown most weeks. Also, it's a Firefly Funhouse match. It means you can come up with some bizarre ending that benefits Bray Wyatt, but just make this really scary. That's what I want. I can't remember ever seeing a horror wrestling match, so let's do that here. It can be cheesy as hell, I don't care. You've got a get out of jail free pass this year because of all the nonsense that's going on out there, so just do it right, make it scary, John Cena lose, and Bray Wyatt can chop his head off. And then next time he comes to the ring, he's got a John Cena lantern. That's fine. Which brings us to our first world title match, and we will talk about Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, because that's a hell of a lot easier than Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, and I'm actually torn. And the main reason for that is because all of this is going to happen in an empty arena, and if we are going to give Drew McIntyre his moment, and we are going to get behind him and make him the first ever guy from the United Kingdom to be a WWE World Champion, I want to see thousands of people going crazy for that. I want WWE to be able to use that footage in packages for years to come. I don't just want it to be McIntyre stood there going, oh, I did it. I'm a Scottish psychopath, but there's nobody around. I just don't think it's fun. So, of course, the flip side to that would be that Brock Lesnar gets the victory here. And once we can have an audience once more, you do the rematch and Drew wins there. But then I'm again confused because I'm like, well, does that ruin Drew McIntyre's momentum? Is anybody going to care second time around? Makes it very, very difficult, so I think I'll go with what I assumed WWE was going to go in the first place, and Drew McIntyre will hit Brock Lesnar with at least 8 Claymore kicks, and he will indeed defeat the Beast. And really that is what we should do. The build to this has been fabulous, I'm so excited about the match, and I'm so desperate for Drew to win, even if nobody live is actually going to see it. So it's one of those situations that has been hampered by, the real world. But I guess don't muck around with your plans, right? Don't muck around with your plans. Have Drew McIntyre win. Have Brock Lesnar sell it like he'd seen a ghost. And finally, after all these years, it turned out Vince McMahon was right and Drew McIntyre was the promised one. And finally, my word, I'm exhausted. We get to Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. And the reason I've left this to the end is because no, it's not going to be Roman Reigns. Massive spoiler for you, so you can just turn off now. You've watched the majority of the video. It is instead going to be Goldberg versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, because Roman Reigns took him out of this situation because of his health. And that is just the smartest thing in the world. If you disagree with that, go away. Don't ever talk to me again. Don't even look at me. Close your eyes right now. Roman did it for his family. He did it for himself. It's the correct thing to do. But in no way do I want Braun Strowman to be the Universal Champion. That's no offense against Braun. I just don't want to see it. His push recently has sucked. He lost the Intercontinental title, even though it was like, I could beat all 3 of you. So just have Goldberg spear his ass, get the 1, 2, 3, and once more when Roman can come back to TV, then you can coronate him as the champion. Now, I don't actually think WWE is going to do that because Goldberg is a part-timer. I think Braun Strowman is actually going to be the Universal Champion, so that is my official prediction, but my personal want is that Bill, my dad, remains the champ. What an absolute mess this has become. And there it is, that's the WrestleMania 36 card. I need to lay down. Why is there so many matches? We could have done anything we wanted here, but instead, was this how long the card was going to be when it was just one night? It's going to take like 12 hours. Still looking forward to it. I'm still excited because, again, we're all trapped in our houses, and I appreciate the fact WWE is not just giving me 1 night of entertainment, they're giving me 2, but there's so many things here I would have scrubbed off. Now, of course, in the comments, let us know your predictions. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Then head over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles, follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE. Watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Sandar from What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me. And yes, of course, Sunday we'll up those downs for WrestleMania Part 1. And Monday we'll up those downs for WrestleMania Part 2. And we'll see if I'm right, or more appropriately, we will see if I am wrong.